Assalamu alaikum, Rahubat, back again, dropping some information. When you look into the Quran, you see the Quran, when it speaks to humanity, or when it speaks to kinds of men, it says, we created you from a single of a male, and the female had made you into nations and tribes, that you may know each other. See? And or not that we may despise each other, but so we know each other. So we know each other. Verily, the most honored of you in the sight of God is, in other words, he who is the most righteous of you. See? And God has full knowledge and is well acquainted. See? With what? With all things. So God himself looks at himself in the sight of himself as something the most honored of you. The most righteous of you will be the example of God amongst you. This has always been the attributes that we called God. In the book of Genesis, it says, so God created man in his own image. This is the King James Version. What I was reading before was the Abdullah Yusuf Ali version of the Quran, 49 and 13. But this is Genesis 1:27, translation of King James, and it says, so God created man in his own image, in the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And what's special about that, because the New Testament also speaks of Adam outside the garden, or Adam before the garden. Mark chapter 10, verse 6, it says, but from the beginning of creation, not the seventh day, not the sixth day, not the fifth day, not the, what's the word for it? Not the garden, not the rib of Adam. But from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. That's Mark 10 and 6. So as you can see these reading in all these scriptures, they will say that the same thing, that some God or gods created Adam and Eve. However, did it ever occur to you that Adam was not the first man? The Bible is not an original scripture. It's a rewritten thing. It's something that's taken from other things. That religion itself was made up by beings from another galaxy who came here to Earth. Now, okay, so how we look at that, and or different thought processes, and or different genetic systems, and or different civilizations. All right, and it tells you that you call them angels, as you would put it. These are still people. Donald Trump came up with something called Space Force. What are they going to be considered whenever they land on the moon and land on Mars? What are they going to be considered whenever they make it out of the Milky Way galaxy? What are they going to be considered? People from other galaxies or angelic beings. All right? Or those with chariots, fiery chariots. All right? So the religion itself was made up by beings from another galaxy who came here to Earth, came down to Earth. See, that's what the word esoteric means. So if you're dealing with something esoteric, you're dealing with means of UFO information, because you're saying that you got your information coming down to Earth. The religion, all right, and so religion started out to help humanity. So I don't want to bash religion. I want you to understand why it came down from a different galaxy to help humanity. Certain individuals were inspired to launch a code of law as community disciplines, and then the malevolent beings interfered with the telepathic influences, or the way of life. That's a way of saying way of life, or intuition, or natural common sense, and inspired commentaries that are responsible for certain racism and other isms that keep people from coming together, and are responsible for wars and death. So you will see that we have reached a point where we're getting back to finding how the archaeological community discovered 7 tablets in cuneiform, stamped in cuneiform, that describe the epochs of creation of the solar system. These tablets are found in a place called Sumar, also called Shinar, which meaning flatlands, and or countries of rivers, and or Shumar, meaning plains, flatland. Without question, Sumar is located in Old Babylon now, which is called Iraq, and so whenever you see this, Sumerians who had these tablets had maps, and or star maps, and also cellular maps, maps of the cells of the body, which can be seen and found today describing this solar system. So I just want y'all to understand that it was people they had this way before NASA. And they were black people that they just found 7 tablets from. Ancient tablets. We'll touch on how the word Allah is attached to it. Because when you see the word neteru, you see that it's the Egyptian term for annunaqi. The Annunaqi Elohim are the mighty ones in Ashurik, and the Quran calls them Jabareens, things of that nature. The Bible does too. That's where the word geography comes from. So the Annunaqi have the word geography in their reference, in the neteru. So they're from the earth, originally. See, when you think about what they speak in time on the Biru Makaba, the movable throne, see, the original one was the earth. The original Makaba was the earth. So we'll get to that later. So, well, also, one of Anu's best names is El Razaka, the 17th attribute of Allah. So when you deal with the Annunaqi, you're dealing with men that they called Allah. And the wisest of them and the best of them is the most honorable, the most righteous one. That's the one who everybody must obey. Each generation of life, each cycle of life has to obey that system. Assalamu alaikum.